Alright everyone, I'm recording this video today or uploading this video today because the thing that I wanted to talk about on here is something that I don't think is talked about a whole lot, let alone if often, and that's specifically our respiratory health, even more specifically our nasal passages. So there was a few things that I had discovered over the years that were always, posing a challenge for me just as far as my daily activities and livelihood goes. But for the longest time, probably since I was maybe about 14 years old, I always dealt with seasonal allergies, or at least that's how it started out as. And the seasonal allergies that were hitting me the hardest were mountain cedar specifically, and I think like pollen and maybe like a little bit of dust or whatever. But so, being 14, not knowing a whole lot about allergies or the process to go through, and as far as remediation and everything like that, went to the doctor's office, of course. They gave me Allegra, and I believe they gave me Zyrtec. So, and for those of you who have allergies, you already know 9 times out of 10 that's going to be the go-to when you go to the doctor's office and you say, hey, I've been sneezing, I've been coughing, eyes are watery, itchy, and all of that other stuff. They're gonna say, hey, here's this Zyrtec or here's this Allegra, drink some water, try not to operate any heavy machinery. If you're of driving age, man, you should be somewhat fine after that. Or the other big one is fexofenadine, which I believe is a different version of Allegra. So, since 14, really been struggling hard with those allergies, and then even creeping into my adulthood in most definitely the last 15 years or so of my life. So it just got to a point earlier this year to where I guess I just hit like the peak as far as me running into issues as far as my allergies go. So how this whole thing transpired was I had came home one day, was doing my regular business and whatnot. I went to sleep. Normal time, probably about like 10:30 p.m., 11 p.m. Went to sleep, woke up that next morning naturally, probably like around 6 in the morning or something like that. But then after I had woke up, I had just felt still tired, as if I didn't just go to sleep for like 6+ hours to the point to where I had to go back to sleep. I went back to sleep for probably like another 4.5 hours maybe. And I woke up and I still didn't feel all the way right. Now, granted, I was moving at this time. So the thing that I had thought as far as the reason why I was probably this tired was because another one of the things that I picked up along this journey is I purchased an air purifier for my house. Because that's one of the things that the doctors will tell you once you tell them, yeah, I'm having allergies. The allergies haven't really stopped. They're going to give you the pills, they're going to give you the sinus rinse bottle and everything else. But I just so happened to take the liberty going out and purchasing my own air purifier. So I was thinking maybe it's because I don't have my air purifier. I had just changed the filter on my HVAC system. That's another huge thing too. 9 times out of 10, if you're experiencing what it is that I'm experiencing now, because I haven't had my surgery yet, you got to make sure that HVAC filter has been changed and cleaned out, and then you got to do the same thing with your air purifier goes. But I had woke up to go back to the story. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but to go back to the story, I had woke back up. I was still feeling tired, and I was just like, man, what is this feeling? I'll do anything to get rid of this feeling right now. And then I had went through thinking like, the pills weren't necessarily working because the pills were making me tired. I was already tired and I already knew what the pills were going to do. But the one thing that I didn't do, and I'll be honest with saying this, is that I didn't do a sinus rinse. Initially when my doctors were giving me the sinus rinse bottles, and how it was, from my understanding, how I took it, I'll have to do a sinus rinse maybe here or there whenever I'm feeling like that, and then I'll be good to go after that. So at a last resort, I did my saline sinus rinse. Comes on the little bottle with the black cap, and you shoot it up your nose, and then it filters the water out from one side to the other. So I did that, and once I had did that, I had noticed that I immediately felt like more awake, like I had more energy. And that's the thing that I've been struggling with for the past 15 years. I've always felt like I was tired. There's even occasions to where I could have had like 3 or 4 shots of blonde espresso from Starbucks, or whether it's my espresso, but it just didn't always quite do the job for me. I was still feeling sluggish and tired after that, but I noticed I felt more awake after that. And then on top of that too, because later on, doing a sinus rinse every single day, having to have your bottle with you and whatnot. If you like me and you got to travel a lot, that's not really sustainable. So there was a Mucinex allergy. I believe it's the primary chemical in it is oxymetazoline. But all that does is it is any inflammation that's going on inside of your nose. You just do a few sprays of that and it'll basically fight off the inflammation. So if you have swollen nasal passages or swollen sinuses or anything like that, that spray is there to combat it. But before you go out purchasing that thinking that's going to be the fix, you're only supposed to use that for like 2 or 3 days. But with my case, I had noticed that my allergies and my sinuses had got so bad to the point to where even if I did a sinus rinse, even if I was just using my regular medication that the doctor gave me or my regular Flonase, my sinuses would swell back up immensely. So, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to do this every single day, but how else can I get my sinuses down? And I remember specifically, probably almost maybe like a year and a half ago from that point to where I had finally did my sinus rinse after being asleep all day. One of the nurses at the doctor's office was telling me, because they looked inside of my nose and they were just saying like, yeah, one side of your nose is swollen right now. And I was like, okay, well, how do I, revert the swelling? And I was told to just to do my sinus rinse and to take my medication. So, and that was the end of it. That was the only thing that I had thought of it. I was like, okay, so the only answer to my problem is doing a sinus rinse and taking my medication prescribed by the doctor. But it wasn't until it had just got to a point to where I knew that I was basically in a worse state than I was before. I knew that this sickness or whatever it was that I was going through, I knew that it was bad to a point to where I needed to seek medical attention, but also I needed to begin researching what it was that was going on with me at this moment because I didn't quite fully understand. So, as you all know, they got some great, resources, online resources that you can look up out there. I'm not really a WebMD kind of guy, but I was just actually looking to cross-reference the legitimate information, from Google Scholar or whatever websites that you have. But after doing some in-depth research online and, just trying to pinpoint and cross-reference everything that was aligning with the symptoms and the things that I was experiencing, I had came across a surgery, and the surgery was basically describing what it was going on with my sinuses. So one thing is that what was particularly happening to me as far as like the chronic swelling, and I know there's different terms for it, but the one that I think had kept reoccurring was the chronic sinusitis. And basically just the chronic sinusitis, you could basically be having a mild stuffy nose for however long. Like it could be more, I think it said anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks. Anything past that is going to be identified as chronic sinusitis. Mind you, I have been feeling this for the past 15 years almost, or at least if not the swelling, just the overall symptoms as far as not getting enough airflow inside of through my nasal passages. So that I had been experiencing. There's the chronic sinusitis. And then I had came across a surgery that was called basically a turbinate reduction. Turbinate, Turbinate reduction. So I was reading up on the turbinate reduction, and I guess the turbinates, they're inside of your nostrils, further back past the nasal passages, of course. But when it gets to a point to where they get irritated enough, they can begin swelling. And the more that they swell, the more that it'll basically cut off some of the airflow just because it's a blockage inside of your nasal passages. So you won't be getting as much airflow into your nose that you need to be getting in. And now it's gotten to a point to where I think I might have some in my pocket, matter of fact. If not, I got it right here. So now it's to a point to where I've tried everything from, Zicam, congestion relief, to the, I think it's the Arm & Hammer, eucalyptus, saline rinses, and a few other brands, to keep this down. But I notice at this point now, when I don't use this, my nasal passages begin to swell back up. And now I can tell that my nasal passages swell back up based off of how I'm feeling. So for a long time, I never correlated the two things, but for whatever reason, and there was a couple that I looked up online, but the one that makes the most sense medically is that when your nasal passages swell up the way that mine do, there's a lack of airflow, getting inside of your body, a lack of airflow reaching your brain. And when you look up the information online, and granted, I know probably every other doctor out there will have their own difference in opinions, but the theme that I had seen the most as far as a correlation is that when your brain has a lack of airflow, a lack of oxygen getting to it, there could be some adverse effects to that as far as anxiety, which my anxiety used to be through the roof, depression, which my depression used to be through the roof. And it's funny to think about it now, because I know a lot of times throughout our regular daily life, a lot of us will have, a lot of anxiety or a lot of depression, and we think we have it just because we have it, not knowing that sometimes once you go a little bit further below the surface, you'll see, some answers or some correlation as far as to why we're feeling that way or why we have those feelings. But I had noticed once I'm able to get more airflow inside of my body, also too, I'm in a better mood. I'm more of an extrovert. When I don't have any of this, when I don't do a sinus rinse, when my allergies are bothering me, I'm irritable, I'm introverted, I don't like to be bothered. Any little thing could annoy me. And, the whole entire time, or at least throughout the majority of my adulthood, I thought that's just who I was as a person. I just thought that's how I was created, And then come to find out, it's like, oh, okay, it's not that I was, behaving that way just because that's who I am, but I was behaving that way because I was carrying a sickness or an illness, or what some would even consider to be a disease. So I wanted to make this video, just because this is prior to me being on the road to getting a surgery and being on the road to recovery. So to fast forward, for the past 6 months, this nasal spray, the sinus rinses, that's how I've been surviving day to day. And even then, it's to a point now to where, these things, they'll say 2 or 3 sprays to each side. It should last you about 12 hours. Well, now for me, it's not lasting as long as like it used to, and I know that's because my body is beginning to build up a tolerance, but I knew that would happen. I was just hoping that it would be able to hold me off until I was able to go through and get my surgery. But let me even bring it back some more for people that are wondering, how did I go about it as far as bringing the surgery up. But I had already, in which also this was a coincidence, but I had already been going through and going to the doctor's office to get allergy shots, because a couple years back when I initially started going through those, just those hard ruts, just, feeling tired, not having energy and things like that, I was like, man, I need to find a permanent solution to this. I was like, because this is not sustainable, especially for the line of work that I work in. So I started getting the allergy shots. And yes, I seen on there that it's going to take up to like 5 years to complete the series of shots. And then even then, once you finish after that 5 years, that's not to say that you won't ever need allergy shots again throughout your entire life. but it should hold you off. I think online it said anywhere from like 5 to 7 years, or maybe even longer than that. But this was the only thing that I saw as far as a resolution, and so I went headed straight forward with it. But going through with that, I ended up getting assigned to my new clinic, and I went up there, and I got introduced to the doctor that was over the head as far as the allergy department and everything like that. And I just so happened to bring my story up to him, and I expressed myself like I am now on this camera, and I gave him every detail that I could as possible, because I'm looking for a solution. I'm looking for a fix. I need to know, is there something that I'm not doing? Is there something that we need to do? Like, what is the ultimate fix for this? And then that's when he had gave me the information as far as there being another clinic, which is, I think, is referred to as the ENT clinic. And he was just saying that, like, that's not his specialty, but he could assign me to get a referral over there so they can go ahead and do a further diagnosis as far as what may be going on. So fast forward, I go to that clinic, with the referral, and then of course, like that day, I didn't do anything. I didn't take anything. I was like, hey, I just want y'all to see it for what it is. And of course, I went in there, nose swelled up completely, and they did their check, and they could see it immediately. As soon as they looked up there, they're like, yeah, like it's swollen. So as soon as they had saw that, they heard everything that I was describing. The doctor, she was working really well with me, but she was just like, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll put it in right now that we recommend that you get this surgery, when you have the time to do so. So that's where we're at right now. That's why I wanted to make this video for anybody else that's probably been experiencing what I've experienced. And then also, I know I forgot to mention it earlier, but the other thing that you have to take into consideration with this story is that everything I have been experiencing, for the past 15 years, I lived the majority of my life in Texas. I moved to Texas probably around the time when I was 8, and I've been living in Texas almost the entire time since, with some breaks in between. But I say that to say, the other thing I had looked up online too, out of curiosity, was that the majority of mountain cedar trees throughout the U.S. are located right there in Texas. Now, you all can go back online and look that up and challenge me on that, but that's the information that I had seen. But I know that Texas is known for mountain cedar. So I was like, no wonder why I've been, not only, have been experiencing allergies and have been feeling bad, but I'm in a place that has the most mountain cedar trees here. And, that's one of my primary allergens. It's a high rating. I think it's like a 2.5 or something like that. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. So going along this journey, once you're going through, you're talking to the doctors and stuff like that, what they should do is give you an allergens test. I think it's like the 45 skin prick test on your arm or something like that. And they're going to test for everything, whether it's dust, shellfish, pollen, cedar, all of those things. And they'll come back with the highest rating on there. That's probably going to be, step one if you have been feeling like how I've been feeling, or if you've been experiencing anything. But as soon as I had saw that was the other, thing that was played as the catalyst as far as me getting air purifier, trying to change my lifestyle completely. Because up until that point, I thought that I had been doing everything that I was supposed to be doing, as far as eating healthy, working out 5 days a week, running 3 days out of every week, and drinking water every single day. And then there was even a period in between me feeling like this for a year. I had went vegan, but I had still felt the same, which, I was just like, how am I still feeling the same? When I'm doing all these things and putting all these things in place to get me better and at like a peak level of fitness, of health and fitness. So, the skin prick test, that'll give you some answers right there. If you live in Texas, and this is mainly for my Texas residents, because now that I'm going through all of this and, and just thinking back on everything, I truly believe, even though I could be wrong, I truly believe there are a lot more Texans that are probably, experiencing the things that I'm experiencing, Or if not, it might be a situation where maybe you're not tired all the time, but maybe you feel heavy with depression or something like that. I truly believe that there are more people that are experiencing this. So if you're already a person that has to take Allegra when I think what it's like around January time frame when the mountain cedar comes rolling around, if you're already a person that has to take Allegra where your eyes are watery real bad and stuff like that, if you already experience severe symptoms like that before, then maybe this might be a moment for you to dig further into it and see what's going on. And like I said before, if you're a person where you cannot breathe through both sides of your nose like myself, then you definitely want to go and seek some medical assistance or attention and try to figure out an answer for you, because that was the other thing too. So the swelling fluctuates, of course, based off of whether I have the medicine for the day or not, or the nasal spray for the day or not. But the easiest way that I'm able to tell is just by like physically checking to see if I can breathe or not, or if my nasal passage is swelled up on me or not, or swelled up on me. I guess that would be the word. But I just check both sides, just like so. It's still open a little bit, and that one's kind of open. But my left side, that's the side that swells up the most and does the most harm to me. The right side, not so much. But if you're checking and you can't breathe through either side like that, it's the other thing too is if you have been operating, like how you have been every single day, you're not going to realize it. You're not going to realize over time that your nasal passages or your sinuses have been swelling up on you. You're not going to realize that because, you're just going through life, going through the motions, living how you live. It's not until you identify that something has been, altered with your sinuses to where you're like, oh, okay, I need to get this fixed. And then you're going to start paying attention to it and monitoring and noticing it every single day, like I have been for the past 6 months, almost 7 months now. So that's why I even press and, just stress the awareness about this even more, because, I truly believe had I would have gotten taken care of this, or I was been able to identify this earlier on in my life, that my life would be way different than what it is now. Because the other thing too is when you're talking about the lack of oxygen to the brain, or depression and high anxiety, for some people they might be feeling anger. The other thing I had looked up too that I thought was interesting was that a lack of oxygen on the brain, adversely could trigger, some or offset cognitive skills. So, your thinking, your decision making, how you operate, like how can you coordinate something, just things like that. Because, even then, that's another way that I could tell now if I'm feeling a little off. If I like and it could be the smallest decision, it could just be something silly to where I'm like, I don't even know why I said that, or I don't even know why I did that. When I have that feeling, if I say that out loud, if I say like, I don't even know why I did that, I immediately start checking my nose. I'm like, I must not be getting enough airflow. So yeah, I'm putting all this information out here. Hopefully this helps somebody else who's been experiencing the same things that I've been experiencing. Trying to take this thing one day at a time. Still surviving off of this. I don't want it to be a situation to where I had to take anything, outside of a multivitamin. I just wanted it to be a situation where I could just wake up and I could just go about my business. But, as of right now, still on this, still doing the sinus rinse, the saline sinus rinses, not taking the pill so much just because they make me too tired, and then, of course, just still getting my allergy injections. And that's pretty much it for the most part. But if you feel like that this might be something that you can relate with, or somebody that's experiencing these things, it's all going to start with just going to your allergy department or your health clinic and just letting them know how it is that you feel and start asking those questions. And if they give you like some, just basic answer, or if they don't look too enthused to actually go inside and figure out what it is that's going on with you, then don't take that as the final answer. Just go to another doctor. Just go seek for a different reference. And I mean, I would even recommend that if you can do this, that you cross-reference with 3 different doctors, 4 different doctors, and see if they all say the same thing or if they say anything different. It's not until you go that route to where you're like, oh, okay, like maybe I might need to do, like he said, I might need something extra. But hopefully, you're not feeling, as bad as I am, or you don't need the surgeries that I need. But I have seen some people online that have gotten a turbinate reduction done. So that's why I wanted to make this video, because I've seen people make the statements as far as them getting a turbinate reduction done, but I didn't see anyone give an in-depth reason or explanation as to why they got it done, how they were feeling before they got it done, like the explanation that I'm giving to you all right now. So that's why I'm making this video, because I haven't seen any other video like the one that I'm making. So I figured, hey, might as well just put it out into the atmosphere for everybody. So hopefully, that helps y'all out some more. If you're a person that has been suffering with allergies, I hope your journey gets easier. I hope you get the answers that you're looking for. And ultimately, I hope all of y'all are able to just, maintain a healthy lifestyle and live better. Peace.